Anime. A lot of people's favorite form of entertainment. Shows are usually released seasonally or yearly, and that raised a question in my head. What was the best year for anime? That's what I'm here to answer, but before we move on, this video is just my opinion. Enjoy. I'm going to start with the year 1986, the year Dragon Ball was animated. I am snubbing quite a few popular shows like Lupin, Sazae-san, Gundam, and Devilman, all of which came out in the 1970s. I'm also snubbing Urusei Yatsura and Fist of the North Star, which I have seen, but way more people can relate to Dragon Ball, so I'm going to go with that. So winter of 1986, Dragon Ball was released, a show that reinvented shonens as we know it, but that is the only anime that I know came out in 1986. So the year as a whole only gets a 2. I'm not saying Dragon Ball is a 2, I'm rating on how good that year was. So now you know how this works, let's move on. The next 2 years were full of shows that I have not seen, then we get to 1989, another bombshell year for anime, with Dragon Ball Z and Ranma 1/2 being released in the spring. But sadly, that's where the hype for 1989 ends. No other anime stands out, but with 2 heavily impactful series, I'll give 1989 a 4. 1990 and 1991 had no major releases, but 1992 comes back strong with Sailor Moon and Crayon Shin-chan in the spring of 1992. Once again, 2 heavily impactful anime. And like with Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon totally transformed the shoujo genre and influenced it to what it is today. However, this year keeps going. Yu Yu Hakusho was also released at the end of the year, a work from Yoshihiro Togashi, the creator of Hunter x Hunter, another show that made an incredible impact. With 3 major standouts that changed genres, I'll give 1992 a 5. 1993 starts off strong with a little anime called The Irresponsible Captain Tyler. Some of you may know this for its abysmal remake, but this show is actually a fun and enjoyable watch. Sailor Moon got its sequel this year, and the revolutionary basketball anime Slam Dunk got its first release this year. Though I knew more shows this year, the Sailor Moon sequel is basically the same as the original, but Slam Dunk brings the score up by a little. I'll give 1993 a 4. Some influential shows, but nothing special. Again with 1994, there's nothing special aside from another Gundam and Sailor Moon release. I'll give it a 2. 1995 is the 3rd year in a row where Sailor Moon and Gundam both got releases. Except that's not all for 1995. That's right, Neon Genesis Evangelion released. Easily one of the most influential animes in history. That alone gets 1995 some points. But 1995 must have used all of its budget on Evangelion, because that's it for 1995. I'll give it a 7. A huge jump up from everything else so far, but well deserved because of Evangelion. The bangers keep coming with 1996's Dragon Ball GT and Rurouni Kenshin, the latter being another highly influential shonen anime. But that's not all. This is the 4th consecutive year of a Sailor Moon release. But aside from those, no other standout releases. Because of Rurouni Kenshin's influence, I'll give 1996 a fitting 6 out of 10. And so we come to 1997, when arguably one of the best manga of all time got its first and best anime adaptation, Kentaro Miura's Berserk. For those who have not seen or read Berserk, it's something you need to do in your lifetime. The themes, the art, everything about it is one of a kind. The story of Guts is one of tragedy and betrayal. So many ideas are working in tandem to create the story. Pokemon also released in 1997. I love Pokemon, and it's had a major effect in anime, but it doesn't change the score much. So I'll give 1997 a 7. A fair score along with Evangelion, both being 2 stories that are unironically life-changing. It just keeps getting better. 1998 comes in strong with Cowboy Bebop, Initial D, Trigun, and Yu-Gi-Oh! All being released in the spring of 1998. But 1998 doesn't stop there. Serial Experiments Lain also made its release this season. For being released in 1998, I still see people talking about Lain everywhere, making another show with a legendary legacy. 1998 finishes off with an anime called His and Her Circumstances. I believe it's the first romance of the video. It's an enjoyable watch, but it's admittedly pretty basic. But that doesn't take away from this absolute monster of a year. With 5 massive anime, I'll give 1998 an 8 out of 10. And so we come to 1999, the last year before the 2000s, and it delivers. When I was scrolling through the My Anime List charts, nothing too crazy was released aside from Gundam. But the last 2 pages exploded this year to a high rating, the first of which being Great Teacher Onizuka. GTO for short. If you want to see the potential impact this manga can have, go watch the video from Onimaru on YouTube. It's a short watch and a great video. But what was on the last page of 1999 solidified it as an insane year. One Piece was first animated. I know there are some One Piece haters, but you can't deny the show's influence and popularity. Being released now for over 25 years, it alone would bring 1999 to at least a 7. But Hunter x Hunter also released this year. Other smaller shows like XL Saga and Initial D's second season came out too. All of that culminates to give 1999 a 9 out of 10. The only reason it's not a 10 is because the first part of the year had no shows, so I'm rating as if I was watching back in the 90s. For a year to be a 10 out of 10, it needs popular, influential shows every season. But that ends the 1980s and 90s. So far in the lead, we have 1998 with an 8 out of 10, and 1999 with a 9 out of 10. It's going to be hard to top those. Make sure you grab your baggy jeans and tie-dye tops, because we made it to the year 2000. 2000's anime started off nicely with standouts like Inuyasha, Hajime no Ippo, and Ghost Stories. But of this group, one stands out more than the rest. That's right, Ghost Stories. I'm kidding, but only a little. The Ghost Stories dub had TikTok in a chokehold in 2021 and 22. You couldn't go 5 videos without hearing one of the Ghost Stories voice actors saying something absolutely outlandish.
Nice ass. Do not lust in your heart. Jesus, you're right.
Think of a big black man chasing you! Well, he's not racist.
But back to the actual influential shows. Inuyasha is great, but Hajime no Ippo clears for me. I'll give the year 2000 a 6 out of 10. Some great shows, but nothing life-changing. Picking up where Hajime no Ippo left off, we have 2001's Baki the Grappler, one of my favorites from the Baki series. I remember reading the manga and absolutely loving it. Along with Baki, we have the Pokemon knockoff Digimon. I remember seeing it on TV when I was little, and I was always like, where's Pokemon? What is this? Another major release was Fruits Baskets, which I have not watched. I know I have to, but I just haven't gotten around to it. Shaman King and one of my favorites, Hellsing, also had their first releases in 2001. All around a solid year. I'll give 2001 a 7. No major standouts, but a lot of enjoyable shows. Ooh, this next year might get me some hate. I have not seen any anime from 2002 all the way through. Shows like Naruto, Ghost in a Shell, Full Metal Panic, and Azumanga Daioh are all great, but I've either not seen or finished them. I know Naruto is incredibly influential, so that gets it some points, but other than that, I can't comment on any other anime for 2002, so I'll give it a 4. You can tell what kind of anime fan I used to be when the only show I care about from 2003 is Ikitosen. But aside from that, Beyblade had a release, and another show that I did not finish, that being the original Full Metal Alchemist. 2003 had nothing crazy. I guess I'll give it a 4 just because of Full Metal Alchemist. 2004 picked up the slack from 2003 and 2002, starting off with Paranoia Agent. It's such a great psychological thriller. But then we have Samurai Champloo and Monster both being released in the spring. Such a powerful duo. We got season 1 and season 2 of Gantz, another season of Yu-Gi-Oh! And Initial D. There's even some romance with School Rumble and Elfen Lied, if you could even call that a romance. But that's not all. I saved arguably the best 2 for last. Beck and Bleach. The Bees come in at the end of the season to round off such an amazing year. So many iconic shows in one season, I can't give 2004 anything but a 10. It seems like 2005 is the year of the niche, having no major releases, but shows that are beloved by many. Shows like Eureka 7, Blood Plus, and Hellgirl released, with the biggest show being Mushishi, which I have heard of, but admittedly not watched. The last show for 2005 I'm going to talk about is Suzuka. Easily one of the most annoying romances ever. Those who have seen it know what I'm talking about. There's every trope, and it's 26 episodes of literally nothing. 2005 I'll give it 4. A lot of shows with cult followings, but nothing major. Wait, what? Fate Stay Night released in 2006? Is it just me, or does that seem like something that came out 5 years ago? Anyway, another 2006 release, Gintama, was another show I have not completed, but I still know it as an amazing comedy shonen. The melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya and Higurashi when they cry brings a bit of spookiness to 2006. The Familiar of Zero also released this year, not the first isekai, but the one that I think brought the genre to where it is today. Welcome to the NHK, an amazing commentary on social anxiety that everyone should watch. And finishing off 2006, we have Code Geass, one of the first anime I ever watched, and easily one of the best. I'm starting to see a bit of a flaw in the rankings. We already have another 10 out of 10 for 2006. Hopefully we get some bad years coming up. So from here on, I'm going to limit myself to 5 entries, and I'm going to ignore sequels. There are just too many shows that I know, so let me know if any of your favorites get snubbed. 2007 was another great year with an iconic anime in Gurren Lagann. It was an anime I watched years ago. I don't know if it held up, but Gurren Lagann had me in awe the whole time. Another iconic anime in Clannad made its debut in 2007. Another anime that I haven't watched in years, but the emotions I felt while watching it are almost unmatched when talking about anime. I debated even mentioning this next one, but School Days also released in 2007. And it's iconic for a whole another reason. I remember watching the fan dub on YouTube a few years ago and actually enjoying it. Anyway, moving on. Claymore also released this year, which is nice. This year has so much variety so far. I'll end 2007 off with Naruto Shippuden. I know I just said I wouldn't mention sequels, but its effect was very apparent. Overall, 2007 is a solid year with a lot of variety and iconic shows. I'll give 2007 an 8. 2008 must have been pretty horny because there's so many fan service anime. I'm just gonna list them all really quickly as one entry. Rosario Vampire, They Are Noble Masters, Kenokan, To Love Ru, Sekirei, Familiar of Zero Season 3, Ikitosen Season 2, and Rosario Vampire Season 2. Man, 8 fan service shows in 1 year. What a crazy year. Aside from the horniness, this was a pretty light year. Toradora released, another iconic romance anime still to this day. Another Romance and Spice and Wolf was released, and 2008 finishes off with Soul Eater. 2008, certainly an interesting year, but had nothing too impactful. I'll give it a 7. 2009 is the first year in a while that I haven't seen any of the shows fully through, so I can't comment on anything too much. But Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood released this year along with K-On! And some other popular sequels. Just so I don't get roasted in the comments, I'll give 2009 a 6 out of 10 just because of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Alright, that ends the 2000s. I'm optimistic for the 2010s, so let's get into it. 2010 is the year of the romance and apparently incest. 3 shows, Orimo, Yosugo no Sora, and Kiss X Sis, all standouts for the year. But no, seriously, Angel Beats and Maid-sama, both great shows with easy enjoyment, but other than those, this year is just incest and boobs. It gets a deserved 4 out of 10. 2011 brings us back to form with iconic standouts like Steins Gate and Hunter x Hunter, 2 of the best animes ever created. There's so much variety for this year too. If you want supernatural drama, watch Anohana. If you want action, watch Fate or Blue Exorcist. I'll give 2011 a 9 out of 10. With a variety of great shows, it definitely earns it. 2012, the year where the world was going to end apparently, but not for anime. It's incredibly hard to narrow this down to 5, but I think I got a good selection, but bear with me. High School DxD came out this year, and it's bad, trust me. I know, but it's so iconic I can't help but mention it. 2012 also saw Kuroko's Basketball, another great sports anime that is once again iconic. I'm gonna say Sword Art Online was one of the best anime of 2012 too. It didn't start the isekai craze, we had that with Familiar of Zero, but if you ask anyone who's heard of anime if they watch Sword Art Online, 9 out of 10 of them will say yes. I'm kind of cheating here, but 2012's romance animes are also popular and well known. I'm gonna quick fire 3. Pet Girl of Sakura So, Love Chunibyo and Other Delusions, and My Little Monster. And I'll end off 2012 with probably the second biggest show of the year, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 1. I'm not a JoJo stan or anything, but I recognize when something's good, and all of JoJo's is great. I'm leaving off so many good shows, but it's an obvious 10 out of 10. Probably the best year so far. Moving on to 2013 when the Harlem Shake was big, and apparently the word selfie was the word of the year. Crazy to think that was over 10 years ago. But 2013 anime was pretty mid, is what I would never say. Kill la Kill, Danganronpa, The Devil's a Part-Timer, My Teen Romantic Comedy, and Attack on Titan to top it off. Need I say more? Well, I can't really. Compared to 2012, 2013 just seems flat. I mean, it has Attack on Titan and other popular shows, but other than that, it's just mid. But still, 2013 gets a 7. Oh, we're so back with 2014. I know over 30 shows this year, and have seen a lot of them. Ping Pong, Haikyuu, No Game No Life. The variety there alone is wild. Parasite, 7 Deadly Sins, Your Lie in April. I'm already at 6 shows, but you get the point. All of them are incredible. 2014 easily gets another 10 out of 10. 2015 is like a guilty pleasure for me. Shimonetta, Prison School, Danmachi, all shows that I think are great, but some other people might think otherwise. But for standouts, we have Food Wars, a show that needs no introduction. We also have Charlotte, a nice drama, and the almighty supreme, magnificent One Punch Man. Just because of One Punch Man, I want to give it a 10, but I'll lower it a little to an 8. I'm just gonna spoil it, 2016 also gets a 10. I'm a critic of isekai, but I understand when something is good. With ReZero and Konosuba in the same year, that alone gets 2016 an 8. But with My Hero Academia's first season, Psyche K, Mob Psycho, it just keeps getting better. I know I already said it, but 2016 is an easy 10, and maybe the best year so far. 2017 is the most divisive season so far, with shows like Boruto and Arrow Manga Sensei, both series with cult following and a lot of haters. While there are a lot of standouts, nothing really jumps out other than Classroom of the Elite, Made in the Abyss, and Tanya the Evil. But let me know what you guys think of 2017 in the comments. Is it just me, or is this year not as good as the others? I'll give 2017 a 6 out of 10. 2018 comes in strong with standouts like Grand Blue, Violet Evergarden, Slime Sekai, Goblin Slayer, Cells at Work, and Banana Fish. And there are a lot of incredible sequels, but I made a rule to only rate on first appearances. So I don't know if I'm just hating or if I was blinded by 2012 and 2014. While it's good, it isn't as good. 2018 gets a 7. 2019 seems to be the year of action. Fire Force, Vinland Saga, Demon Slayer, and Dr. Stone, all incredible shonen icons today. And with romance standouts like Domestic Girlfriend and Love is War. And with romance standouts like Domestic Girlfriend and Love is War, overall 2019 has a good variety of shows, and a lot of what most people would consider icons by 2024. I'll have to give it another 10. That ends the 2010s. There were a lot of highs and lows, but overall 2010 was the best decade so far. 2020, the year of COVID, the time when the world was shut down and everyone stayed home. This caused the anime to not keep up this year. I'm gonna cut 2020 some slack. The fact any shows were released in the spring and summer are amazing as is. But as for new content, the only show I truly enjoyed was BNA. You could also throw Tower of God and God of High School in there, I guess. They were fun, but nothing special. But since COVID was happening, it's impressive what was achieved. I'll give 2020 a 5 out of 10. We are starting to get in the territory of recency bias, so take these next 3 years with a grain of salt. 2021, the world was starting to open back up, and to that, the anime got better. I'm not dialed enough in with the anime community to know if I can say this, but Mushoku Tensei is good. Good enough to be the second best show of the year behind Horimiya. 2021 was heavy with romances, Nagatoro and Higehiro to name 2. Also, there are over 20 amazing sequels that also came out this year. But because I said I couldn't rate because of that, 2021 still gets a 10. It's a low 10, but a 10 nonetheless. I know many people will disagree, but be nice in the comments. 2022. It feels like yesterday when I was watching most of these shows. I'm gonna keep this year simple and to the point. With Blue Lock, Chainsaw Man, Call of the Night, LaCroix Recoil, and Spy Family, this is an easy 10. I love all of these shows, but one of these carries, and it's not even about the show. It was the fact that Blue Lock released during the World Cup. I sometimes think about if it didn't, it might have just faded away, but because of the TikTok edits, the World Cup, it all culminated to such an amazing month of life. Watching the World Cup in high school with my friends every class, ignoring the teacher, coming home on Friday watching the US tie to the United Kingdom, what a time to be alive. Just for that, I would give it a 10, but with everything else, it might be the best year so far. 2023 is a historic year for anime. Frieren was released, dethroning Fullmetal Alchemist at the #1 rated anime. Also, a quick side note, what is the One Piece fan letter? It's also above Fullmetal Alchemist in the #2 spot, so can someone let me know in the comments? Anyway, back to 2023. Oshi no Ko, Mashle, and Hell's Paradise, all great shows. But again, there are so many sequels that are amazing. But ignoring the sequels, it still gets a 10. And so we moved to 2024. We made it. We finally made it. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I haven't seen a lot of these shows. However, it gets a 10, but it's literally only sequels. Other than Solo Leveling, Anya Only Speaks Your Feeling in Russian, and Kaiju #8, but that doesn't stop it from being a number 10. So after all that, what do I think is the best year of anime ever? I realize that I glazed 2022 a little too much, so it goes down to 2 years, 2012 and 2016, and I'm gonna choose 2012. And the only reason why is nostalgia. A lot of my first animes I watched were from 2012, and if you haven't noticed, I'm a sucker for cliche romance, which 2012 is full of. So that's my opinion, 2012 is the best. If you made it this far, let me know in the comments your favorite year, and also subscribe. I post anime videos and shorts if you like that kind of stuff. Subscribing helps me out. But anyway, this has been ZJ Anime. Thank you for watching. Peace.